Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something really cool. We're stepping into a library that's literally been thousands of years in the making to explore the huge and fascinating world of ancient Indian literature. So let's just dive right in. How is it that these ancient stories still have such a big impact on us today? Well, we're about to see that these texts are way more than just dusty old books. They're like a blueprint for an entire civilization, packed with ideas on philosophy, science, and morality that have been echoing through time. All right, our first stop on this tour is the most ancient part of the library, the Vedic literature. Now, these were written in Sanskrit a long, long time ago. We're talking between 1500 and 500 BCE. And when I say they're the bedrock, I mean they are the absolute foundation of Indian philosophy and culture. So, to really get this, you gotta see how it's all put together. Vedic literature isn't just one big book. It's neatly broken down into 4 distinct parts. Think of them like layers, with each one building on the last. We start with praise and ritual, and then move all the way to some really deep philosophical questions. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, the Samhitas. The best way to think about these? They're basically the original sacred songbooks. They're collections of these beautiful, intricate hymns and prayers for different gods, and they make up the very heart of the 4 main Vedas: the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. All right, so if the Samhitas are the songs, then the Brahmanas are the super detailed instruction manuals that go with them. These are prose texts that break down exactly how to perform all the sacred rituals and sacrifices you hear about in the hymns. They were absolutely essential guides for the priests. So we've covered the what and the how, and now we get to the why. That brings us to the Aranyakas, also known as the forest texts. And this is where things start to get really philosophical. They were written for hermits and students living out in the quiet of the forest, and they really dig into the symbolic meaning behind the rituals. It's less about the physical action and all about inner understanding. And that brings us to the grand finale of the Vedas, the Upanishads. This is the philosophical peak. These texts are all about asking the biggest questions you can imagine, like what is the ultimate nature of the universe, what they call Brahman, and what about our individual soul, the Atman, and the biggest question of all, how are those two things connected? Okay, so we're leaving those foundational texts behind for a minute and stepping into this grand hall of epics. And I'm not exaggerating here. These are home to 2 of the most influential stories ever told. But there's so much more than just stories. They're like moral compasses for millions of people. First up is the Ramayana. It's this incredible epic tale of Lord Rama's quest to rescue his wife Sita. And the whole story is really this brilliant illustration of a concept called dharma. Now, dharma isn't just about following rules. It's about your sacred duty, your righteous path, your integrity. And Rama is the perfect example of that in everything he does. And then you have the Mahabharata. This thing is a massive, sprawling saga about a huge family war between 2 sets of cousins. At its heart, though, the Mahabharata is all about karma. You know, that inescapable law that says every single action you take has a consequence. It's this powerful idea of cause and effect and being responsible for what you do, something we still talk about all the time. Our journey continues, and now we're heading into the wing of deep thought. This is the place where ancient thinkers didn't just passively accept wisdom. Nope. They debated it, they picked it apart, and they organized it all into 6 major schools of philosophy. So, these 6 schools are called the Shad Darshan, and each one gives you a totally unique way of looking at reality. I mean, they cover the whole shebang, from the atomic structure of the universe and the power of meditation to the very nature of consciousness itself. But you know what's really fascinating here? It's how these different schools all aimed for the same thing, truth, but took completely different paths to get there. Take Vedanta. It built on the Upanishads and basically said truth is found by looking inside yourself, through self-knowledge. But then you have the Nyaya school, which was totally different. It looked outward and argued that truth has to be proven with solid logic, debate, and actual evidence. And then there's the Sankhya school, which had this really cool idea about dualism. They proposed that everything, and I mean everything, in the universe comes from the interplay of just 2 basic principles. First, there's Purusha, which is pure consciousness, the part that just observes, totally unchanging. And then there's Prakriti, which is all the material stuff, the physical world, basically everything that gets observed. Okay, let's keep moving, because believe it or not, this library isn't just filled with philosophy and epic poems. Oh no. Our next section is going to blow you away. It shows off some absolutely incredible advancements in ancient Indian science and technology, all written down in super detailed texts. I mean, in math, the contributions were nothing short of revolutionary. You had thinkers like Aryabhata writing about really advanced stuff like trigonometry. And then Brahmagupta comes along and does something totally mind-blowing. He lays out the rules for using zero and negative numbers. Think about that. Those concepts completely changed mathematics forever. And the medical knowledge of the time? It was just as profound. You've got the Charaka Samhita, which is this incredibly thorough guide to internal medicine, how to diagnose illnesses and how to treat them. And then there's the Sushrutar Samhita, which is just stunning. It's a detailed text all about surgery, describing complex operations and even the surgical tools you'd need with amazing precision. All right, we're heading into the final wings of our library now. And here we see this amazing explosion of mythology, creative arts, and literature that started speaking in all sorts of new voices and different regional languages. So this period gave us the Puranas, these 18 epic texts that weave together all these grand stories about gods, the creation of the universe, and history. This was followed by the golden age of classical Sanskrit, with poets and playwrights like the famous Kalidasa creating works of just unbelievable beauty. And finally, literature just blossomed everywhere, in regional languages, especially with the really heartfelt devotional bhakti poetry from medieval saints. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that Indian literature is not just one thing. It's this huge, interconnected library. It literally covers everything, from the most secret philosophical texts and epic moral tales to pioneering works of science and intimate poems of devotion. So, as we walk out of this incredible library, it's pretty clear these texts aren't just old artifacts locked away in the past, are they? They're living, breathing conversations about how to live, what to believe in, and how to make sense of our world. The ideas of dharma, karma, and that deep search for the self are still offering us wisdom, which really just leaves us with a final question to ponder.